Hey, hi. Hello there. Welcome to yet another episode of Velocity by Hawky.ai. So, today we have one of the CMOs of one of the most household names in the region, and it's Sweet Karam Coffee. And we have Veera Raghavan, who is the CMO there. And being one of the great followers of the brand, really like the both the product as well as the kind of brand that the team has built so far. And I think today we'll try to understand more about how Raghav and team has been building this brand so far. And apart from this, he has probably he has worked on a lot of other with other brands as well, and would like to understand how Raghav has done that so far. First of all, welcome Raghav to the podcast, and yeah, excited to have you here. And yeah, we'll go more in detail into the brand building in this episode.
Likewise, Surendra, thank you. Thanks for having me. I would just like to say hi to all your followers and the viewers of this podcast.
Sure, Raghav. Yeah, maybe I think usually we start with the guest that who comes in. We try to understand a little bit about the guest who comes in, and then we go into the brand and things on. But probably we'll do it slightly different. I think let's try to understand a little bit about the brand that you have built so far. I think spent more than 10 years with Sweet Karam Coffee so far, and I've always been an admirer of the product and have followed the growth of the brand as well for quite some time. Yeah, I really admire the positioning of it. I think the authentic positioning, the no palm oil, the especially the grandma positioning, the party positioning, and so on and so forth. I think there are a lot of things that you guys have done really authentic and have created a space for yourselves, right? Maybe if you can start with how did it start? Let's say how did the brand get built? How did you probably, let's say, when did you join, and how was the idea, and how did it evolve? Maybe if you can give us a short timeline about it, I think we'll go into it.
Sure. We started Sweet Karam Coffee almost in 2013. Right? 2013, like, just started as a festive brand. Like, there was no online website, anything. It was just, we just realized that there is a huge demand for festive time, like, for example, a Janmashtami or a Diwali.
Yeah,
People
yeah,
consume a lot of sweets and snacks for their home or for giftings, etc. Right? And that is when this started, and it was also with a purpose that while there were a lot of brands already doing it, we sometimes felt that when your North Indian, sorry, but when your Western products, right, they are packaged really well and they are branded really well. Unfortunately, when we come to the Indian side of snacks, right, especially South Indian snacks, most of it has always been packed in over a transparent package, right? And we usually don't know where it is manufactured from or who is doing it, etc. Right?
yes,
And although from an ingredient profile, etc., we are nothing short, right? And our products have always been healthy, etc. But somewhere in people's mind, because of the packaging and the amount of effort that has gone into building this, the perception, it was always built in a way that these are not healthy and this is good, just because it was packaged and branded really well.
mm,
And we also started digging into some stats, etc. We started figuring out that South Indian snacks started, although the category share started reducing in the overall retail
okay,
space, etc., while Western
okay,
snacks started taking over share, right? So the fact was that almost 65-70% of market was dominated by Western snacks, and the share
okay,
of Indian snacks was diminishing in the market. It
okay,
could do, and it was also like only the elder generation was consuming this, while the younger generation, etc., have started completely moving away from this, right?
mm,
So
mm,
even today, that is a challenge. If you see our own products, most of it will be the parents or their
mm,
grandparents, etc., who are consuming it, while younger generation, like, who's going to eat this? I will have pizza, burger, etc. But we are not trying to tell what people should eat, etc. It is not like this is nothing short of whatever that is. One side of the story. So we just started this because we were passionate foodies from Chennai, right? So we just saw it as a side project or something. Why don't we try this? And then it
okay,
started getting really good traction for the first year, 2013.
mm,
Then. So 2014, again, we expanded it to Janmashtami and Diwali, when the first year it was just Diwali festival.
okay,
So next year, the traction was really good. A lot of people reached out. At that time, we can consider it as more of a poster slash WhatsApp. And the Madri,
mm,
just
okay,
a Facebook page layer saying, I'm doing this. People call us on phone or reach out to us on
sure,
WhatsApp. And then 2015 is when we started formalizing it. That is when India, a digital boom is happening. Your Swiggy, Zomato, etc. were entering India. So we also thought, let's open a website, right? So we
Mm,
just created sweetkaramcoffee.in as a website, right? We thought we will just try to make, because festive time, whoever was buying it during the festive time, were also reaching out to us on other parts of the time saying, "எனக்கு உங்களோட முறுக்கு, I really loved it. I want it now,"
mm,
etc. Right? So
yeah,
just to now
yeah.
service them and to streamline it and to do it in the proper way, we just started a website, right? That
Mm,
was in May 1st, 2015,
got it.
right? And we had about 20 products. We started really slow. அதுவுமே வந்து our ambitions weren't so big, right? And we didn't launch a pan-India website. It was just a website servicing only Chennai, right? We will service these products only for Chennai consumers because
Okay.
that is what we knew, and this is the only market we understood.
Mm,
And over 5 to 6 months, we were doing this only for Chennai, and then word of mouth started spreading. So now people from Bangalore started reaching out to us. So then what happened was slowly by end of 2015 or beginning of 2016, we expanded this only to Chennai and Bangalore, right? So Chennai and
okay.
Bangalore ஒரு மாதிரி நல்ல brand confidence வர ஆரம்பிச்சதும், what we thought is now probably we'll go pan India, right? Because there were enough courier partners to deliver this
Correct.
across India, etc., etc.
Mm, mm,
So while this was on one side, what we were also constantly doing was the Facebook post every day, right? Like, so Facebook was our only engine, right? So one thing that was
mm.
consistent is we used to run engagement posts on Facebook because at the
Sure.
time your performance marketing, etc., was not
Yeah.
so advanced like what it is today, right? So it just used to be more engagement posts to just
Sure.
reach the core audiences, and the engagement was really good. People really loved the quality of the products that was being offered,
Mm,
right? அந்த மாதிரி ஸ்டார்ட் பண்ணி then 2017, sorry, 2016 endல we started the entire pan India delivery service, right? But ad spends were
got it.
very minimal. I'll be honest, like it was about 100 rupees, 200 rupees a day, just like how every small business
Yeah.
starts, right? So we were doing this for almost 3 4 years, right? We kept on running this, right? Parallelly, we were also working in our own corporate jobs, etc. It was not like we were doing this full time,
Oh,
right?
okay.
This was also more of a side hustle. Of course, there were
Mm,
people who are taking care of operations full time here,
mm,
procuring, order management, and all of it. But the key thinking, whoever was doing that side of things, were all full time.
got it,
Be it
Raghav.
me or Anand or Nalini, Shivats, and all of us were working in our own jobs. T20. So this kept on growing, and we hit that 40 lakh, 50 lakh sort of a per month scale by
Sure.
2020, etc. And then
Mm,
COVID happened.
yeah.
Now, when COVID happened, one good thing that happened was all the online brands saw a natural boom. But அதிலுமே என்னாச்சுன்னா, it was very clear, like if you were just selling, let's say, sweets alone, you were not seen
Mm,
as an essentials brand.
mm,
Only those brands that were also doing essentials were given permission by the government to still continue running operations for delivery and everything. Now, because we had a whole South Indian assortment of pickles, arpaton podis, pap, appalam, these were seen as more of your home cooking essentials, etc.
correct.
So
Essentials.
the government was also supportive and sort of giving us the clearance to still
Mm,
keep running the operations.
got
So
it.
2020, when COVID happened, is what we saw a real boom in the business,
Mm,
right?
mm,
Because a
mm,
lot of people who were then purchasing from legacy brands, and because those legacy brands are not available in the online world, right?
mm.
We were probably one of those few brands that were actually present online.
Okay.
Adukapram, a lot of them started moving online, but I think we had that first mover advantage because 2015 then we have been running this online, that 5 years of online awareness had already given us a huge competitive advantage. Versus a
Mm,
lot of other brands, that's when they started building their online framework. And it's not like overnight now, although you are a very popular offline brand, if you go online, you're not going to get that this thing, right? Because your online
yeah.
consumers are fully different from who your offline consumers are, right? So, and then when that happened, and when we also started talking to a lot of consumers, they were saying that we really feel your products are healthy for us, right? Because
Mm,
you don't use preservatives, you don't do X, Y, and Z. So
yeah.
consumers of the mind there, although we never took a healthy proposition, like even
Mm,
today, for example, we don't call ourselves as a healthy brand because we truly feel that healthy is a very subjective word, right? For one person, it could be just a good oil that is healthy. For some person, இருந்தாலே இது healthy கிடையாது. For some people, it is like very advanced thing, like anything that has any form of sugar is not healthy,
yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
that sort of lands in a debate. Then people start writing like this is what is healthy, this is not healthy, etc. So we always took a better for you sort of a proposition, right? Like this is much better than what is available
Mm,
proposition.
okay.
That plus we never sort of put down any other brand, right? Like we always respected
Mm.
all the other brands, and we didn't say like we are the best brand, etc., etc. Blah, blah, blah. In consumers' mindset also, they felt a huge genuinity with the brand associated,
Yeah.
right? So we never said, our doctor, you should come and buy only to me, etc. So
Mm.
all this together, consumers' love for the brand was much, much higher than we
Okay.
ever thought that to be, right? And that is when end of 2020 or 2021, we realized that the brand image or the brand perception that has built outside is much, much larger than what even we thought of it to be. Okay, we
Okay.
knew that people like the brand, people love the brand, but we didn't know like so much love was sitting outside. Okay.
Mm.
So that was like a clear eye opener for us. And that is when also I think Fireside Ventures sort of discovered us, right?
Mm.
They sort of reached out. So again, it's been a very different journey. The brand has hit
Sure.
very different heights, but
Yeah.
I think, yeah, it's been an interesting 10 years journey, lots of learnings. We'll talk about some of this one.
Yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure. Okay. Thanks a lot. Yeah, I think that's a really great journey. Yeah, you mentioned that I think around 2020, all of you came sort of completely full time, and then that's where it got more this thing, right? So maybe, yeah, I think now I'll come to your side of story, right? Like, how did I think you have worked with Accenture, then Google, then this and so
Correct.
on. So,
Correct.
can you maybe explain your career journey so far and yeah, till SKC?
Sure. So SKC was like while SKC was running in one side, I sort of completed my. So I'm just a BE graduate, no MBA.
Sure. Okay.
I would call myself an accidental marketer, right?
Okay.
So I just did
Sure.
a BE in mechanical engineering, and then I started applying for jobs like any other fresher. And that's
Yeah.
when Accenture sort of right? And that was a pure play marketing operations role where it's more like it was fully into Google Ads, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
So we used to analyze large scale accounts
Okay.
of Google's premium consumers and then provide recommendations as to how they can keep scaling their ad spends while maintaining their ROI and all of
Sure.
it. So there I joined as an associate, and then I think things went really well. So I got elevated into a team manager role, sort of a
Hmm.
thing, right?
Sure.
So the primary markets there were so then eventually what happened was Google themselves launched their own sub brand called Google Operations.
Okay.
So they sort of absorbed this project into themselves because anyways Google was outsourcing it to Accenture. Now
Okay.
Google
Okay.
sort of absorbed it within
Okay.
and that unit was called as GOC, right? So that is how I got into it, and that was another three 3 years sort of a stint there.
Okay.
And then it reached a point where SKC needed a lot more time, right? Because until then it was a smaller scale and it was not a very seriously taken brand. But when
Hmm.
we started having this realization that this brand is perceived so much, we all have to take a decision as to either start growing this in the right direction by giving efforts or continue this and don't focus so much on this, right?
Hmm.
Otherwise, you're just doing an injustice of because in your job also you'll not be giving your full efforts, nor to the brand. So it came to a point where we all had to make a decision as to is it this or this. But then
Hmm.
this is something you all love doing as compared to this always, right? Because this is something you're building out of your own
Out of your
passion.
own.
And you get to see your everyday results. Like whatever I'm doing yesterday, I'll be able to see the impact of it today, next week,
Hmm.
etc. So
Got it.
it was an easy decision to come here. Of course,
Got
it
it.
required some sort of convincing at home because we are all that sort of
Yeah.
people, not so much used to business or
Yeah. Yeah.
entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
think family was also supportive and 2 years, 3 years, Papa and now. If things don't work well, you can always go back. But
Yeah.
I think things have gone really well in the last 3, 4 years.
Got it. Got it, Raghav. No, that's great actually. And one of the things that I wanted to understand from you is like I think this positioning, whatever you have arrived now, right? Like the clean packaging, the clean materials, and no palm oil. Like and as you said, not going into a healthy category, but positioning as a better alternative for unhealthy snacks. So that's the
Correct.
kind of positioning, kind of right. So and I mean, while speaking, probably it feels like it has come more organically, but maybe can you explain like how was this something that you mostly like when we start building a brand, we try to position ourselves as a customer and then we go ahead and build it,
Correct.
right? Or
Correct.
we do a proper research and understand like probably let's say talk to hundreds of people, do some market research, involve maybe even an agency to help with the market research. So what all happened? Like, did you involve anyone professional to at that point of time, right? Did you involve anyone to like help you guide that, or did you go into the field or like to ground to do that, or you positioned yourself as an customer? How did that positioning evolve?
I think in the this entire no palm oil, no preservative, although it was there with the brand since day one, this is not the original messaging that we were taking for a very long time, like you said,
Okay.
right? But the positioning that we have held for a very long time has been this authenticity and homemade taste. Okay,
Mm,
because that's
mm,
where this entire idea started, right?
mm,
And the idea has always been to give products that are as equal to how it is made at home, be it from a taste, be it from an ingredient profiling,
correct.
right?
Correct.
So, and that's where the roots also, right? Like initially, it was started from a home, etc. Right? So, authentic homemade taste was our proposition for a very long time, and they're just
Mm,
there even now, right?
mm,
And this entire no palm oil, no preservatives, how, like you said, it was not organic. It didn't come so easily
mm,
also. But how it worked well was like we tried different messages in so many ads, right? Like there were ads. So initially, so this is a mistake that like every brand that is starting, we also like we were putting too many messages
mm,
in our ad copies because we didn't want to miss out on any message, right? It was more of a FOMO, like I
yes.
wanted to tell that I delivered to your home. I want to tell that I delivered it in 2 days. I wanted to also tell this is authentic, this is South India, this is homemade, no preservative, no maida. So then it was like too many messages, and the realization was like, what do we want the people to remember this for, right? So they can maximum remember you for one or two things, not for so many things, right?
Yeah.
And the one or two things that you are able to nail so perfectly, then
Mm,
other things can be hidden or subdued messages, but not
mm,
everything can be your core message.
true.
So
True.
under Madri, we did multiple ads where one portion of the ad will talk not about no palm oil, no preservative, but only this. Right?
Mm,
The other ads will
got
talk
it.
about these messages. The other ads will talk about these messages. When the brand stood for everything, we just wanted to figure out which are the core messages with which a lot of audiences are resonating at scale,
Mm,
right?
mm,
Because in the messages in our like at a smaller spend, it will be a very localized CG who will resonate with that
mm,
messaging really well. But
yeah.
let's say when you 10x the spend on that message and you start reaching
Mm,
mass audience, they might
yeah.
not really relate to it, right?
Mm,
So
got it.
what we had to do it was also ensure we are spending enough on each of these message, and that also testing involved like putting this message first and the subdued message second, which is that message one. So a lot of combination went, and finally I
Mm,
think what we arrived was no palm oil, no maida, no preservative was a very clear winner.
mm,
And at that point in time, I think 2021, 22, that health revolution also post COVID sort of started.
mm,
People started becoming more
sure.
conscious about what they were eating, etc.
Yeah.
And the bigger learning was like every brand was telling that my products have a homemade taste.
Mm,
Every brand was telling that I am authentic.
mm,
So it
mm,
is not in any way differentiating your brand from some other brand, right?
mm,
But
mm,
these three messages of no maida, no palm oil, no preservative was clearly a winning differentiator because when
mm,
you practically analyze all the brands, most of them were using either of the three, or
mm,
some of them were using all of the three, right?
mm,
Within
mm.
this category.
Okay.
So the time this messaging really worked well because people loved this. People always loved a murukku. People always loved a banana chips. Then banana chips with this value proposition sort of gave that
Mm,
acceleration. Now, when that
got
started
it.
working, then all our packaging, everything started saying this single message.
Mm,
So that is how
got
it
it.
evolved. But still, that authenticity and homemade is where everything revolves
Mm,
around, right?
correct.
Because a brand should not deviate from that.
Mm,
So still, our consumers relate to us was this authentic brand from South India who offer the products without maida, palm oil, or preservative. So I think for brands to initially, whether they will be able to find that value proposition on the day one
mm,
might not
mm.
be this thing, but they have to be very clear, like even in the long run, what do they want their consumers to know the brand for and have a map for it.
Got it. Got it, Raghav. And yeah, I mean, now I think whose idea was this idea of Janaki Party? And I think that's one of the co-founders' grandmom, right? So
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
how was that? I think when we saw I think almost 50% of your ads had grandma in it, the party in it, right?
Correct.
So yeah,
Correct.
when did it come? I think that has also become a huge identity for the brand now, right?
Yeah.
Whose idea was it? How did it come up?
So it was Anand's idea always. Like, so Paati has been there with us for. So she was anyways a cine artist, sort of a thing. Like, she has acted in a couple of
Yes.
movies. Somewhere you might have seen her in some of the other brands ads also. So she always had a passion for cinema, etc. in her childhood. But because of the
Mm,
generation she comes from, I think post marriage she was not allowed to do any of this
mm,
and all of that. But after 75, she again wanted to pick this up, right?
mm,
And
mm,
while she was supporting small ads, because we were doing our own thing, we were like, why don't you come and do this for us instead of doing for everyone? She was very happy to come and try it out. And when we tried, the amount of love that was coming in the comments, it was really good. And the biggest realization was like we were not even able to explain the emotion that was coming out of it. Anyone who
mm,
was watching her was naturally smiling, right?
mm,
They
mm,
didn't know why they were smiling. They didn't know why they really loved the content, etc.
mm,
But clearly worked well for us, right?
mm.
And I'm giving the best thing was that she is again irreplaceable, right? Like every brand can again do a product video, but
Yes.
Party is the central moat of the
Yes.
brand because she is not replicable very easily,
Correct.
right?
Correct. Correct.
So that and again, we did pilots of videos with her, without her, started stealing.
Mm,
But there was a
mm,
clear differentiation in terms of recall. Like people who are
mm,
seeing only our product videos versus people who
mm.
are seeing her videos with products embedded had a very
Mm.
different recall factor, right?
Wow.
So people
Okay.
started remembering the brand on the strength of it, right? So
Okay.
she was like, I saw
Yeah.
this cute grandmom. Who is she? Right. So
Mm,
that curiosity factor was continuously building. And that
mm.
gave a massive reach because you generally don't see at least at that time, a grandmom coming and promoting something on
Yeah.
Instagram. Maybe TV
Yes.
ads, like, it was still popular, like a grandma, grandpa concept. But then Instagram, she was like the oldest influencer that was there to
Mm,
come and talk something on the screen. So it sort of went really
mm,
viral.
mm, mm. Got it. Got it. And when you started doing the branding with Party as well, right? At what point did you feel that this is really working? One is you told that the comments or the engagement is really high.
Yeah.
But having seen with some other brands as well, that really does not convert into your conversion as well, right? So how did you like correlate that and how did you sort of
Honestly, it was an experiment only because we have done a lot of product videos before, right?
mm,
So we
mm,
sort of clearly know what sort of product videos work in our performance
yeah,
engine, right?
yeah,
Literally to the level of which color grade doesn't work. Now,
okay,
this was something very new because we were always used to showing products, but
mm,
someone with people, this was the first time for us, I say.
mm,
So we sort of did a professional video shoot, I would say, slightly higher budget, but not so high. I would
okay,
say about 1.5 lakh sort of a small ad film with her. But there also, what we wanted to do was again a lot of experiments because Instagram's algorithm was also constantly evolving at that
evolving.
time, right? And
Even
that is
now,
the time it's always evolving. But I think 2022 end, like the algorithm was more like people are talking about hook rates, right?
yes,
First 3 seconds are the most important and all of it. So one thing that we did was while majority of it was basically a 1.5 minute sort of a film, right? But we literally created 16, 17 microfilms out of it, right?
mm,
So it was
mm,
not like one ad film, but you can
okay,
assume it to be 1.5 minutes of various stock footages,
okay,
direct talking and all of it, right? With literally 6 to 7 different hooks. So
mm,
essentially, that one film, we created about those many variations, and
mm,
everything was put into meta ads, right? And out of those, the precise number would be 14 to 15 variations. Out of it,
okay,
exactly two picked up spins.
mm,
Two
okay,
picked up spins massively, right? And we were hitting and that was more like a brand sharing only. It was not. So it was a brand plus performance, not core
mm,
performance video,
yeah,
not a core brand video. It was a
mm,
mix of this and that. It was delivering almost same ROI as a hardcore performance video, right?
mm,
But the good thing it was building was a strong brand recall, like we said. people, the
Correct.
product reviews were not doing it. So we were okay with, so although this was giving me 90 or 80% of the ROI that I used to get from a product review, we're still okay with it because this is building a long-term association
Brand.
with the brand versus those videos being in the short term. But to answer also your question of when did we decide to further scale it, was that this video sort of kept scaling for 3, 4 months, right? And then we started putting more of party videos to see if they
Mm.
also have similar reception. Because one learning there could be because it is a professionally shot video, probably that
Correct.
is why it was working. Now we also
Correct.
tried local versions of same party video, no professional setup, to see if it was still working, and it was giving that ROI.
Okay.
Then we sort of realized like it's not a one-time fad.
Mm.
Like for a lot of
Mm.
brands, what happens is initially because it is something
Yes.
different, 2, 3 months you get a spike and then it starts fading out, it doesn't hold. Right. But here the signal was very clear that even after 6 months of effort, that growth curve was always existing and we
Mm.
never saw a falling curve. Right. So that was a
Got it.
very clear signal that this is working for us, so we should keep staying.
Got it, Raghav. And when it comes to attribution, right? So particularly, I think it's little hard to attribute the branding content, and I'll come to the quick commerce part also. I think you are heavy on quick commerce. You are
Yeah.
more active on quick commerce. I'll come to that also. But in general, how does your attribution work in such cases, right? Like performance attribution is fine, but how do you do omnichannel and how do you do overall marketing attribution? Do you have any particular
Yeah.
models and any blind spots and so on?
So I think it has been slightly challenging. At least if you were just a D2C brand, I think still there are a lot of attribution models to attribute some of it to brand, some of it to marketing, etc. Right. So one good thing with us is 99% of our spends have always been on Meta. Okay, at least until we were a pure play D2C brand. Within the online media channels of Google Ads and Meta, we even today we don't do any Google ads or YouTube ads
Mm,
because
mm,
Meta is still able to give us the scale that we want,
mm,
even at this scale,
mm.
right? And I think
Okay.
Instagram as a platform is still growing on India, and it is
Yes.
not at a saturation point, right? Their user base is still growing, right? And Instagram is still able to deliver a lot of quality audiences, and
Mm.
because I think the quality of content on Instagram is really good these days,
Yeah.
right?
Correct.
So Instagram is our largest growth channel from a media perspective. So there, I think it's pretty easy, right?
Mm,
Because like you said, 50, 60% of our spends is directly on brand. And they also take me only to my D2C website, right? So people who are coming in here and converting, it's directly attributed as a ROAS on those campaigns. But the blind spots, etc., started happening the moment we started scaling on Quickcom, right?
mm, mm,
When we started scaling on QuickCom, it became a challenge
mm,
because there also we are spending as a platform, right?
mm,
But one interesting insight we saw was that although we were new on QuickCom platforms, there were already 20,000, 30,000 monthly searches happening for the brand name on the platform,
wow.
right?
Oh, okay.
So that means whatever I have been spending on Instagram so far has already started having a
Mm,
effect there. So people were already
mm,
searching for the brand there.
mm,
So solving that attribution has been a real challenge today, right?
mm,
Because otherwise, what might happen is just because quick commerce is scaling, I might choose to put all of my spends there because it is the
mm,
fastest growing channel, right? In fact,
mm.
my ROI could even be better there. Like if I just take
Yeah.
overall revenue by spends, but
Yeah.
that is a decision we haven't made at all because we did again a lot of experiments and figured out that it has to be a fine balance between your meta spends plus
Yes.
your quick commerce spends because even in quick commerce, building your brand name is extremely important because otherwise
Correct.
tomorrow you can be simply replaced by anyone else, right? But even to solve that structurally from a data perspective, we worked with this agency called TrueLift, who
Mm.
helped us sort of do a lot of geo lift studies. So
Okay.
geo lift
Ah.
studies will be like I'll stitch off my quick formats in a couple of cities for 2 months,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I'll double my meta spends there, right?
Okay.
And similarly, I'll switch off my meta ads in let's say tier two cities for 2 months, but I'll
Mm,
double my quick commerce spends on the same
mm,
two cities for 2 months. So
mm.
like this, we conducted a lot of studies.
Okay.
Even now we are doing advanced experiments, but those sort of studies really gave us results on what happens to that city's quick growth when you switch off meta ads, by what
Mm,
percentage does it fall?
mm,
And when you run both, how is the growth curve looking like? When you run only one of the two, how is the growth curve looking like? When you
Mm,
don't run any ads in both the platforms, those cities, how is the growth curve looking like? And
mm,
basis that, they were able to mirror that to a tier one city, build a lot of AI models, etc. To
mm,
exactly, then we sort of arrived at a revelation that for every 1 rupee we are spending on Meta, we
mm.
are also appearing one customer on quick commerce on top of whatever I'm spending on quick costs. So
Okay.
that means my effective CAC, although I was reporting it only based on D2C or D2C's customer acquisition, let's say
Yeah.
that was it. Now this revelation sort of gave us that my effective CAC is X by 2 and not
Mm,
X. So that sort of gives a confidence that I can still keep scaling Meta ads, even if
mm,
my ROI is sort of falling only on B2C because there's a severe effect impact that
mm,
it is creating on quick form also.
mm,
But these
mm.
are all directional signals only. There is still an absolute blind spot because you don't get any customer data from quick forms, right? Even in retention marketing, from a hearsay perspective, a lot of customers tell that I bought your products first time on your website, but now the same product is available on Blinkit or Instamart, I buy it from there. Right
Got
now,
it.
although my cohort retention metrics of D2C will look very bad,
Mm,
but I still
mm,
sort of know that this customer is buying from me there. But whether I'll be able to prove with some concrete data, that is an
mm.
absolute blind spot.
Correct.
The maximum brands can do is like send out a survey to your 50,000, 1 lakh customer base, people fill and use that as
Yeah.
a directional information. But there's no direct insight available
Got it.
saying this is my effective LTV, this is my effective ROI.
No, that's an interesting take on terms of, let's say, how your other marketing efforts is directly let's say, helping in your quick com.
Correct.
And yeah, while you were saying about the search part, right? I think that's when I was also thinking, I think it's a very interesting name itself, like Sweet Karam Coffee, which is more of
Hmm.
a common name of three things,
Correct.
which upon searching will sort of, let's say, your brand will be appearing in most of the search algorithms on top, right? So even organically. Have you like faced any challenge because of this name, or have you faced any let's say, what's the pros and cons of like keeping such a name where common name is the actual brand name itself?
We haven't faced any challenges because again, I've educated a lot of the customers. Like if you literally take our packaging also, right? The back of the pack will tell how should you pronounce this.
Okay,
At
okay.
that level, we are educating consumers. At least for North Indians, initially that been slightly tough because people used to pronounce Karam as Sarma, right? Because it's a very close variant. But
Mm.
apart from that, I think sweet and coffee people can relate to.
Yeah, it's
Karam
English.
is extremely South India. At least
Yeah,
one good thing is in Karnataka also Karam is called as Kara. Maximum
yeah,
Andhra it's Kara, etc.
yes.
So there are slight variations here and there, but in South there has been no challenge. North
Mm,
also it's just about educating them what Karam stands for, which are
mm,
packaging, which are content is solving for to win. So as
mm,
such, there has been no challenges in the form of naming.
mm.
Just that sometimes people who have never heard of the brand might think of this as a coffee brand because it has the word coffee, and that is the
Coffee.
most popular one. But that's not
Okay.
been so much of a challenge.
Got it, Raghav. Great. So coming back to the quick commerce part, right? So quick commerce, I think, yeah, maybe taking one step back, I think in one of your LinkedIn posts you had put that the overall marketing budget is around 25 crores and so on, and then QFC is around 5 crores and so on. Maybe this is probably a little outdated, and you may, if it's okay to you, can you maybe tell what is the split looking like across channels, and
Sure.
maybe percentage split or something like that, if you can share across, that will be great.
Sure. See, I think from an ARR perspective, from a run rate perspective, we are about 110 to 120 crore ARR sort of a brand. Quick commerce is the fastest growing channel,
Hmm.
not just for our brand, any brand that is around quick commerce. I think it is the fastest growing channel. And because it's they are also growing extremely fast in our
Correct.
country.
Correct.
The amount of investments they are making, the rapid expansion, and it has also given a level playing field for new age brands. Because for a lot of new brands, usually when your B2C starts scaling to an extent, your next immediate touch point was retail,
Hmm.
and it's
Hmm.
not so easy to win in your retail space, right?
Yes.
I think BigCommerce has been beautifully able to build that immediate gap for brands.
Correct.
And eventually, we will definitely be a retail heavy brand because food,
Hmm.
sweets, and snacks are largely retail heavy categories. But,
Mm,
what this has done is because D2C, we were targeting customers. We exactly knew whom to target. Quick commerce has also Quick commerce is a mass platform, right? The amount of user base. Etc. So there it has also helped us prove that SKC beyond B2C, even in the mass consumers mindset, we are able to win as a brand, right?
mm,
Because if in a mass channel, let's say your brand is not growing, that means clearly your brand is accepted only with one specific set of consumers, but in a mass platform, your brand is not having that acceptance. But I
mm.
think QC has literally helped us in proving that mass acceptance is clearly there for the brand.
Okay.
So from a channel perspective, I would say D2C is about 35-40%, Q2C is about 50%, 50-55. Offline is still very small for us because it's a
Mm,
conscious decision like uh, and we have kept offline expansion as the next thing because we
mm,
just seen that there is still a good amount of potential that is left with quick commerce and D2C left for us. While we are still doing a lot of experiments in the retail space, just in Chennai and Bangalore, right? Because it's very easy to expand very fast in retail. But what will
mm.
happen is after 6 months or 12 months, a lot of returns will start coming because your product hasn't sold through
Stops.
in the market. Right?
Got it.
So that is why we are extremely conscious about scaling in retail because
Mm,
it's an ocean and
yeah.
we are also learning the playbook. So first, when, until 22, it was all about tracking the algorithm on D2C until 22, 23. This
Mm,
year and last year have been only about tracking platform, right? I think we have a fairly good playbook. We understand how the platforms work, and I think we have built a very good relationship with all the three platforms. Their conviction on Sweet Karam Coffee is also really good, etc. So that is where we are. On the marketing side, I think the budget still holds good at an annual level. Of it's about 50%, 60% goes into the reels or video,
mm,
meta, etc. And the other 40-45 goes into your performance because they are also constantly expanding and you also have to be defensible. So we
mm.
spend a good amount there. So that is where we
Sure.
are also.
Got it. Got it, Raghav. And have you seen any offline presence impacting your either quick com or your direct sale as well?
No, so I think retail we have been very conscious, like I said. So retail also, if you take Chennai, we have just grown become some chains like Fresh Today or Amanana, etc. So if you take Karnataka, we are just focusing on Bangalore. Even in Bangalore, we are not there in every outlet. It's more like focusing just on chains like your Namdarus, your Nature's Basket, etc. Sort of only
Mm,
those premium outlets where we are really
mm,
confident that our products will have a sell-through. One of the interesting experiments we are doing in retail is that we are in a partnership with Reliance
mm,
Retail. So in three of the Reliance Retail stores in Bangalore, we have been able to set up a store, micro store
mm.
inside their store, right?
Sure.
So this is something that even Reliance is trying to sort of premiumize their portfolio, etc. on the retail segment. So it's
Mm,
a small pilot that we are doing with them to see how is the reception. And so far, it has been good. So the
mm.
ROI, the turnover there we are making is about at least 2x of what we do in a regular chain in a single store,
Okay.
right? And
Got
one
it.
more good thing is because it's our own store, we again get a good amount of first party data from there, right? And if you take a regular retail store, we are able to put only our snacks because only they have a 6 month, 8 month shelf life. Whereas because
Yes.
Reliance is this is a micro store of ourselves, we are able to keep all our assortments, right? And have a very good control. At the same time,
Mm.
the unit economics because it's a zero marketing channel, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And we are just using some online influences, etc., to push traffic here. So I
Mm,
think we are not really worried about this cannibalization effect of customer going to retail store and not coming and buying on quick com because as long as they're buying one Sweet Karam Coffee product, we are good,
mm.
right? So from a
Got it.
marketing larger level attribution, what we
Mm,
really track is my overall marketing as a percentage in line with my total revenue and not be so much worried at a channel level. While
mm,
that is also important at a scale,
mm,
but here and there, if I know that, let's say my meta ads is also driving effect on my store in store or retail, then I'm still okay to increase my spends on Meta, although that spend is not going to get attributed to retail. But what really matters is my blended spend and my blended revenue. As long as the ratio is holding, we are largely good.
got it. Got it. Okay. So in one of our existing episodes, Abhishek Upadhyay from High Minds actually told that they do a 60 to 70 days preparation for the Diwali season for the marketing and so on and so forth. And yours being one of the, I think, heavily festive driven kind of category, right? How did your Diwali or any festive preparation look like? How have you, do you, at this point of time, do you have a playbook on when to start it, how to plan it, how to sort of execute it, and so on?
Yeah. For us, I would honestly say it has done the reverse because now with Bitcom, I think one behavior we have observed is a lot of people are doing last minute planning,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Because you know for sure that I'm going to get it delivered in 10 minutes, right? I'm no more
yes,
worried about planning things 1 week in advance, two
correct,
weeks in advance, right?
right.
So, but from a pure play planning perspective, a quick commerce to really fire, you at least need a 2 month in advance sort of a planning
Mm,
because they have to release a purchase order, you have to produce it, you have
mm,
to supply it, and that supply has to go to their warehouse, and then from warehouse it has to go to all the dark stores, etc.
mm,
So from that sort of a planning, it is a 2 month planning for us because otherwise what will happen is if let's say 20th October is Diwali, if we start that only on 1st of October, nothing will happen. By the time I get my POs, it's already 10th of October, right? And the platforms that have already started their Diwali campaigns will be fully missing out on it, right? So
mm,
from a quick commerce distribution perspective, it's a literally a 2 3 month sort of a planning with them because they sort of close their procurement slash brand scale-up plans 3 months in advance. Because they
mm,
also have to figure out which are the brands that are going to invest, right? And which are the brands where they have to procure 2x, 3x more to scale it. Then which are the larger betting brands, right?
mm,
So
mm.
that perspective was done. And from a product, from a D2C perspective, it's more of a 1 month planning for us
Okay.
because we have been doing this for almost 10 years. You sort of know what really works, right?
Mm, mm,
So, but 2 3 years back, one interesting insight that I have seen is that our Diwali campaigns sort of start firing 30 days before.
mm, mm.
So the traffic spike or the revenue spike usually start happening n minus 30, and
Okay.
until it's n minus 7 is where it will be at its peak.
Mm,
But interesting in the last 1 year, what has happened is the spike starts only n minus 14, n minus
okay.
16 max,
Okay.
and the peak is at n minus 4 and n minus 1
Okay.
because of the lag effect of KitCon, where people are now like, I'm going to get it, so I don't have to worry so much about this, right?
Correct.
And even if I
Correct.
don't, let's say, buy from you on your website, your product is going to be available there.
Mm,
So I will buy from there, right? So what we
mm,
have consciously started doing is now we have started, while the production will be over 1 month, the sort of planning, etc. happens. The
mm.
content scale up from a spend perspective or marketing perspective happens just in minus 14.
Okay.
And until an N minus 5, it's a D2C heavy sale, right? And N
Mm,
minus 5, N minus 4 D2C sort of stops because then your courier partner will not be able to deliver it to the customer's house closer to time, etc. But N minus 3 to N minus 1 is still a huge QuickCom scaler, right?
wait.
In QuickCom, I'm going to scale my spends massively, or even in my meta ads, I'll do a lot of awareness campaigns around QuickCom. Say, my Diwali special delights are now available on Blinkit Instamart. That sort of a heavy scale up happens in 3 to 1 and 0. And that worked really well for us this year. Just to give some perspective on D2C, at a peak days, we were literally doing 4,000, 5,000 sort of orders on our PPs. While our
Mm,
usual used to be about $1,200. That was
mm,
almost a 4x, 5x sort of a scale. The interesting part was that my CAC sort of fell by almost 30, 40%. Usually what
mm,
happens in the festival months for a lot of brands starts going up by 20, 30% because
mm.
every brand is pushing their ad
Everyone
spends
wish.
massively on the platform.
Correct.
So content is something again, like I said, it's because we do so much experiments, right? And it's not like I'm going to put 2 videos and then try to make it work. So one of the best things about this year's planning was that I think my team literally worked on 50, 60 creatives. At least 50, 60 reels were put onto ad, right?
Super.
So that is more like you are increasing just your own probability of success, right? You can just put 2 3 great videos and then expect it to work, at least in today's this thing. I think it's becoming more and more harder because
Yes.
and I think with latest Andromeda's update,
Yeah.
And with the
Yeah.
product that you are building, I think all of it is heading towards that direction where the platforms
Yes.
require more and more creative variations and not just a comma or a hyphen change in copy from here and there. Right. So one of the biggest learning this year has been for us to scale up was the volume of creatives that we literally had to pour
Mm,
in to the system was so high.
mm,
Until last year, it used to be just 10, 15 videos. But like I said, this year it was almost 50, 60 videos, right?
mm.
So
Got
shooting
it.
those 50, 60 videos, editing those 50, 60 videos, etc., has been the real challenge. But I think the success that we saw is really giving us the joy, like it was worth all the effort.
Mm. Got it, Raghav. No, interesting. And this kind of creative velocity or the variations, I mean, as you rightly said, I think the latest algorithms are actually demanding
Correct.
variety and velocity, right? So how did you manage to produce it? Do you have in-house teams or do you outsource it? Yeah,
So all our content is produced in-house.
okay.
We just have some editors on standby on the freelance mode, etc. But we still prefer doing a lot of things in-house because again, we have been doing it for so long. So in-house is what we prefer across the org, like be it supply chain, operations, everything is in-house, including customer care. There is literally no function that we have outsourced here, right? Helps us keep everything together under one roof.
Mm,
So from a content perspective, the only outsourcing that happens is while we do our own videos, we also work with a lot of influencers. Again, we
yes.
don't work with an agency, but influencers are also acting as external content creators for us. And with them, we are again able to produce 20 30 creatives each month from a performance
Mm,
marketing angle. And that
got it.
content also goes into your meta. So we are able to hit that creative velocity. But the only challenging thing that I foresee for brands here is that how do you ensure all your creators are still delivering the same message, right? Especially when you, at least your in-house content, you're very clear, you will nail the message.
Yes.
Making 15, 20 influencers to also tell the same message is tough because each influencers have their own set of audiences
Style.
and this messaging also has to suit their style, etc. So finding that sort of an influencer has been really challenging. Uh,
Got it.
these are the only two things. Of course, AI, there are a lot of AI creatives, etc. coming, but that's something for us to explore in the coming
Sure.
times.
Got it, Raghav. And any tools, not just AI in general. Yeah, maybe we'll particularly talk about AI, then maybe there's one, right? So how has been your AI adoption so far in terms of analysis, in terms of production, or in your entire MarTech stack, right? You added any new tools there?
So the only tools, so we use Google Flow somewhat extensively for just
Mm,
testing out videos.
sure.
Apart from this, it's largely ChatGPT and Perplexity, right? So
Okay.
ChatGPT is heavily used for data analysis.
Mm,
And literally all the analysis at a top level is done by ChatGPT, right?
sure.
And on top of it, we also feed a lot of meta data into ChatGPT for it to tell. Because when we do, sometimes because we have been doing it for 5, 6 years, some sort of bias also sits with us,
Correct.
right?
Correct.
ChatGPT at times is, or the AI models are sometimes able to eliminate that bias. And it is also able to tell with latest update, this is what you have to do and don't do this, etc. Right? That is one side. On the other side, like I said, Google Flow is one tool that we are trying to use. And on top of it, I think for a lot of static creators, we still use models.
Mm,
Gemini's Nano Banana has been a real game changer. And apart from this, now what we are trying to explore is a lot of AI influencers like
mm,
Pagen or you have makeugc.com, etc. So we are also trying to see if we can work with these sort of platforms that offer AI influencers. But the only challenge there
got it.
has been it's all tuned to a lot of Western faces. You don't
Mm,
have a lot of Indian faces or you don't have a lot of Indian avatars there. So that is still a challenge. But I'm sure it will be there in the coming days. So that's largely the amount of AI. But where AI is largely used is content ideation.
mm,
We sort of put our initial thoughts, but then we let AI to create 10, 12 different variations of it
yes.
to
Yeah.
see. And then we are also able to do a very heavy analysis on which proposition to take, right?
Yeah.
For example, the same no maida, no palm oil preservatives. Like I said before, while I had to do a lot of A/B testing,
Correct.
I think
Correct.
today in ChatGPT's world, it sort of becomes much more easy because It is able to analyze a lot of stats and tell this audience will resonate more versus this, etc.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
from a decision making is where AI is helping us a lot in figuring
Mm.
out which ones to go after, which ones to eliminate. So in the elimination decision making, it has been really helpful.
Got it, Raghav. And I think since you mentioned about the AI avatars, like any planning recreating a party? Yeah,
Definitely, it,
sure.
it
Okay.
is ongoing. So we are still trying to
Okay.
figure out the right way to do it.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
Uh,
but I'm sure it's fun, interesting angle to take given party's age and this thing, right? But and Party will be super happy. So she has been a that what do you say? Like she is someone who has always been breaking the conventional methods of doing things.
mm,
So she is also
mm.
interested to see her own avatar.
Okay.
So that is something we're working on, but it
Mm.
might take another 3 4 months.
True. Got it. Got it, Raghav. No, thanks. It's been a great discussion so far, Raghav. I really enjoyed it. One last question before I let you go. Who would you recommend to be a part of this podcast? Maybe one or two names that comes to top of your mind.
This is an interesting question. I think you should talk to again because I'm from Chennai in my own circle. Uh, there is someone called Gokul Raj. He used to
Right.
work as the head of growth of CMO at Cook before, and now he's part of
He is with Specs Makers.
yes, now
Specs Makers
right,
is one of our customers actually.
yeah,
I
yeah.
know Gokul. I have worked with Gokul.
So he is my go-to person sometimes if I have any doubt or to see like what do you think of this idea. So and again an interesting person probably to chat with.
For sure. For sure. For sure. Sure, Raghav. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for your time so far.
Thank you.
I really, really enjoyed the conversation. And again, a great fan. Yeah, please, all the best in your future endeavors as well.
Definitely.
And
Thank
yeah,
you. Thank you
sure.
so much.
Thanks, Raghav.
Thank you. Bye bye.